We are back with this shocking story out of Alabama. A pastor has reportedly admitted to sleeping with women in his own parish, even though he knew he was HIV positive. Members of Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church in Montgomery say Reverend Juan McFarland made that confession to his entire congregation from the pulpit last month over a series of Sundays. Our NBC affiliate, Montgomery, spoke to the Reverend over the phone and said he confirmed the details and said he even told church members he used drugs, he misused church money. McFarland said God told him it was time to confess his sins to the church. With me now, Guster, a criminal and civil trial attorney. And with a welcome to you, I want to talk about the vote here. Okay, so the church voted. They're like, we want this guy out. They voted to fire him on Saturday. Why is he still there? How can that be?
Well, oftentimes in employment disputes, especially in churches, they don't look at it as what typically happens with a corporation where if we fire you, you're out. Because pastors have literally an ownership in their minds that this is my church. This pastor's been here for over 20 years. So he feels this is his church and they can't put him out. Okay.
Can't the fact that he was sleeping knowingly with women, knowing that he was HIV positive, I mean, that could potentially lead to something like a murder charge, right? I mean, honestly, can't he be prosecuted on something like that?
He can be prosecuted. In Alabama, there's a Class C misdemeanor for sexually transmitted diseases where if someone transfers one to another knowingly. Now, if he went with the intent to infect someone, that could lead to an attempted murder charge or murder charge if they died, but they have to die.
But how do you distinguish between intent and knowing that you have HIV and that you could very easily infect somebody? I mean, that's complicated.
It is very complicated. Just like any criminal case where intent is part of the crime, you have to prove that he intended to do that. And this case would be very difficult if he used condoms or some type of protection like that, which we don't know whether he did or not. That could come into play whether he's criminally charged at all.
Apparently, there is one parishioner who told our NBC affiliate that he knows a woman who has slept with the pastor, and she's afraid to talk about it. She's afraid of some sort of recourse. What kind of recourse does she have, legally speaking?
Well, she has civil recourse and criminal recourse. She can actually sign a warrant for his arrest if she's infected with HIV at the hands of him. She has civil recourse where she can sue him for any damages, because in any type of case like this, if you have damages such as someone gives you a disease and it's a long-term effect or possibly a deadly outcome, quite frankly, you can sue them for damages in this type of case.
Okay, so McFarland goes and he changes the locks. This is a guy who's also drained the church's funds. I mean, we also, I should say, reached out for comment. We haven't heard anything back from him. Right. But what can you tell us about church policy? And, I mean, isn't this enough that why is there even question that he's still there?
Church lawsuits are some of the ugliest lawsuits you can imagine, because people have their love of the church, they have stubbornness, then some depend on the Bible for their actions. So church lawsuits are very, very ugly, because you have parishioners who some are on the side of the pastor, some are on the side of the deacons, some are against everyone. So it's a case where you may have 10, 15 lawyers involved fighting for the rights of individual members. So it's going to be very ugly. Luckily for the church, though, this is a Baptist church, which they have certain doctrines, and he can be fired. However, if this was a non-denominational church, which a lot of the non-denominational churches are in the name of the pastor, so they are a company.
They own them, right?
Yes, they own them outright.
Not this one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because I've had cases where people have wanted to get rid of their pastor in a non-denominational church, but he's the CEO of the corporation, so you can't fire that person. And he has full ownership, so it gets very ugly with churches.
Yeah, this is kind of jaw-dropping, this one, I got to say. Guster, thanks for talking with us about it. Appreciate that.